right, here we are. Good deal. Let me turn that down and come over to chat. What's up, gang? Happy Wednesday, happy hump day, whatever you want to call it. Nice midweek madness we got going on. So it's kind of like back to the real schedule because now the wife is at work as well, so I'm daddy daycare during the day, and then I get to do all my work at night, which I normally do anyway, but now it's really started because the school year's back in session, all that good stuff. So so tonight's going to be pretty chill, going to be pretty just a few hours probably, because I do have some more NDA work, non-disclosure agreement work that I have to work on. Some due dates are coming up, and the projects are really cool. Greg, what's up, brother? And there's a lot going on, a lot of moving pieces to it, which is really cool. I finalized one of the pieces for another project yesterday and got that invoiced and taken care of. So we're money on that. Now we got another one. The due date is in about 3 weeks, but it's going to be kind of an extensive thing. So that takes quite a bit of time. And then there's going to be a big one. The due date is in November, but I already got the prompt and the templates and stuff. So I've been slowly chiseling away on that. And yeah, I'll be able to show that one off early next year, I think. I think tentative announcement date for like pre-orders and stuff for whatever the thing is going to be like the end of January next year, I think. Something like that. So we'll see. We'll see. We got to hold it close to the chest until they announce it. But once they do, Ivan, what's up, my friend? Good to see everyone. See, it's really funny. Like, a lot of the live views are actually on YouTube, which kind of surprises me. You always hear about Twitch being the live stream platform, but I guess it's more like gamer centric because it started with like Justin TV and all that stuff. And yeah, they have the art channel and the just chatting and all that, but yeah, YouTube's really, I don't know if they're just promoting it better, kind of what's up with it, or if there's like less YouTube streamers. I don't know, but it's good to see everyone. And but yeah, we got a lot on the plate as far as work, which is cool. I have started on the personal project, getting book draft stuff set up, and that's going to be a whole big thing. And Lord, what's up, my friend? So yes, thank you for sending in the picture on the Discord. Which, by the way, if you're all watching and you're on the Discord, I am doing a thing to where August 23rd, I think, so in about 9 days, the stream we'll be doing is going to be more of a Q&A, portfolio review, kind of a critique session thing, people trying to level up. We're going to be showing the community's art, looking at it, giving some advice, giving some feedback. It's going to be a lot of fun. Something about the interface, that's fair. And also, I think if you're already on YouTube, like just watching videos, I know I literally have YouTube on all day, every day, because I have it on in the background whenever I'm taking care of kids or cooking or whatever. Just whatever, video game thing or whatever, esports tournament or whatever is going on. I just have something on in the background because the kids take the TVs in both rooms. They're watching all the Netflix kid shows and stuff like that. So I just, on my computer, I have YouTube on pretty much all day. So it's nice when someone goes live on YouTube because it gives you the alert and you just click it over. So yeah, the Discord is open to anyone. It used to just be patrons only. And then Patreon, for whatever reason, I need to promote it more, I guess. There's not like, Patreon's doing some weird stuff, but that's a whole other topic. But let me get the Discord invite link. Invite people. Here we go. This should last for about 7 days, and this will be going out to both Twitch and YouTube. So if you're watching the video on demand, there you go. That's going to be the Discord link right there. And what's kind of nice is I'll also be linking the tool we'll be using today, which is totally free for our sketches. And it's a fun way to do things. So it has some energy to it. It's unpredictable. You never know what you're going to get. It's really, really cool. So, but yes, I will also be announcing it on the Patreon that we will be doing the art deal and people can submit things and we'll talk about them. And yeah, so I'm planning on reviewing, I mean, as many as get sent in, really. That'll kind of dictate how much time it is and all that fun stuff. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I always love turning on the critique teacher hat because hopefully the angle that I come at it with is like, if you're so occupied with maybe like what your question is, did you miss what your real question is? That type of thing. Like I try to dig in a few layers deeper and be like, okay, I think I know what you're going for. I think I know kind of where you're headed. Here's what the piece looks like right now. Just keep this stuff in mind as you move forward. And those are a lot of fun because you get a whole lot of aha moments in those. And I do too, being able to look at it and then I'll notice something and be like, well, wait, well, we can try this and blah, blah, blah. It's a really fun, like energizing way to get your work looked at. And I just like portfolio reviews anyway. I'm not one of those that is super soul crushing and like critique heavy and stuff. Like, no. I mean, I'll tell you what you want to, not what you want to hear, but like, if you want me to be brutal, I can be brutal, but I'm normally not because there's no point, you know, if we're doing constructive criticism, you have to construct first. Like we're building people up. So, but yeah, it'll be a fun one. I do on the Patreon have old, like I think I called it Patreon paintovers, and it's that sort of vibe that we're going to be doing. But since there's going to be so many back to back to back, we're going to do like snack size, bite size looks at some of these things. But it's still going to be comprehensive enough that you can take that information with you. So it'll be fun. Cody, what's up, my friend? It's good to see everyone. But today I'll show you what we're doing. I will show you what is going on. We are... Okay. So that's good. Cool. So we are going to be using a tool called SketchDaily. And here is a link to SketchDaily. And this should show up in a second. Yeah, I'm not Gordon Ramsay. I can be like, if somebody, it's funny because if like somebody can be kind of like put into their place, it'll happen. Really learning from Tim McBurney. Oh, so dropping awesome. Yeah, great person to learn from. Incredible. I started watching him. Oh man, 2 months ago, 3 months ago. So like relatively recently, but the name came across, and I was like, I don't think I've seen this guy before. I think I was watching a Trent Kanuga, and he was in the recommended list, and I was like, oh, he had a cool topic. It was about like dynamic shapes or something, and I was like, oh yeah, sure. And yeah, dude's money. I subbed right away, like 2 minutes into the video. I was like, yeah, this guy knows stuff. I don't know why those links are not sending. Let me try this one. The Restream app, there we go. Okay, so the Restream app sometimes gets a little wonky because it's sending two signals. It's sending one to Twitch and one to YouTube. But so what SketchDaily is, let's come over here. So what this is it is a way to get, let me move this over here. Turn that down a little bit. There we go. So this is a way that you can get references for sketches or for just any kind of pieces quickly. They can be suitable for work. I've learned about this because this has been a thing for way back in the day. Like the most recent update was in 2021, so almost 3 years ago. And Yeah, the update's June 2021. So like this has been around forever. I want to say I was using this back in like 2006, 2007, because it comes from Just Sketch Me, which is what it originally was. But then they made this because a lot of atelier places, if we couldn't get like a sit-in model, this was a great way to randomize what you were going to draw, where everybody saw it for the first time right then. You only have a certain time limit and things like that. So what this is this just shows, okay, what gender do you want? Do you want male, female, all? I always click all. Clothing. We're going to do clothed because we do not want to get strict off Twitch or YouTube. And then also you can click here to include not suitable for work images. So if you want those in there, if you want to do nude studies, if you want to do something like that, and don't worry, it doesn't get super graphic. It's just artistic nudity, which is allowed kind of, but I don't want to chance it. And then pose, you get an action pose or stationary. I do all. That way it's truly random. I don't know if it's going to be a dynamic pose, if it's going to be a stoic pose. I have no idea. The view. Do you want a front view, a side view, back view, above or below? So like really crazy stuff. And then as you can see, if we start making decisions here, the number of images in the queue change. So yeah, back pictures are only 87, above or below there's only 22. So there's not a, well, I say there's not a ton. If I did all, this would be like 1900, maybe even 2,000 images, which is a whole lot of images. If you did one a day, how many years is that? You know what I mean? So plenty. There are plenty. And then what you can do is you have the timer. So your timer can be 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes if you want to do some speed stuff. You can turn the timer off. The highest it goes on the standard mode is 1 hour. But if you do class mode, they start at 30 minutes. It goes to 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 6 hours. So like a true sitting. Like if you were to hire a model to come and sit, you're gonna get between 3 to 6 hours usually, because with life drawing classes, they usually have a 4-hour block. Sometimes they go a little later, and this was my experience. I don't know how it is like overseas, but in North America, you know, I've been to sittings in Oklahoma City. I've been to sittings in Brunswick, Georgia, in Savannah, Georgia, at different schools, and then they had it like I think it was a 4-hour block for all of them, just because it's easier to, I don't know. It's just, and you don't have to stay all 4 hours. You can come in, get the drawing done, either turn it in if it is one of those where you turned in and judged. But if not, if it's just an exercise, you can show up and hang out for 25, 30 minutes, get a quick sketch and be like, all right, deuces, and leave. So this kind of gives you that, because you don't know what your model's going to look like. You don't know what the pose is, any of that. So this is a great way to get images quickly, randomly, without looking and trying to find a perfect one. And then you have the problem solving of, okay, how am I going to make this a cool image? So I thought that'd be fun for tonight. We're just going to do one for sure, maybe two. It depends on the time. I'm going to be streaming for just a few hours tonight. I got to wake up early with the kids tomorrow. But yeah, I think this will be a fun one. So I'm going to turn off class mode, and I'm going to put this to no timer. Because what you'll see is whenever we click start, it just goes and shows you a picture. And then it has like a fast forward button, a rewind button. It has this. It's almost like a set of it's a slideshow, basically. But what I'm hoping, I also have my PureRef open. And it's funny, I have all the Tyler Jacobson stuff from last time. But I'm hoping I'll just be able to copy and like drag over the thing to PureRef. The reference to PureRef. That'll be a little easier to work with. Let me get that. I'm going to turn this down on my end, because that music's like blaring in my in my ears. All right. So, yeah, we are going to make sure we do not include not suitable for work images, clothed, any poses, any gender, full view, doesn't matter, no timers. Cool. And see, it says we have 1,369 images that could come up. So it's going to cycle through those. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's see what we have. And like I said, I have no idea what it's going to be. But what I'm going to try to do is maybe break down how I'm going to approach this. So I already have, I know for a fact, I'm going to do the first primary sketching in Photoshop. Just because I still need to refine some of these brushes. And get a feel for them so I can add the edited versions and the modified versions to my brush pack, because I do want more sketching brushes. I think that'll be a fun thing for 2025. So we're going to do that. But then I also have Clip open, because I know I just like Clip for rendering. But I want to say we're going to try to do color. I would like to do a little bit of color. One of my favorite artists that does kind of quick, atmospheric, like portraiture and something like very good concept work in regards to just getting a mood and a character down is Ahmed Aldori. Ahmed's incredible. So we're going to kind of go after not his style necessarily, but the style of let's get a color mood. Let's get, we have a reference. Let's play with it a little bit. Let's stretch it and pull it and bend it, all that stuff. In fact, before we get started, let me pull up some Ahmed Aldori artwork, and we can look at that. Here we go. So. Let me get this over here, pull that right there. I'm just going to drag and drop a lot of this stuff. Yeah, like this one's one of my favorites. He's done. We'll look at him closer in a minute. I'll bring out this sketch too, just to kind of see his process, what that looks like. Yeah, this one's great. So Ahmed is amazing. Is it Pure? No, PureRef is. I think it's on Linux and Mac, and like it's free. If you have an iPad, it's called VizRef, VizRef. But no, PureRef is for everything, I think. And it's great because you have these options to where you can, of course, like right-click, go to Canvas, and grayscale everything. And then we do that. You can. There's a bunch of hotkeys. You can hold I think Alt and Shift and drag left or right, and it flips. I think you can also do it up and down. Yep, and it does that. Of course, you can resize. You can drag over stuff. You can spin, so you can look at weird angles and stuff like that. Another cool thing you can do, let me turn that back that way. Let's go to Canvas, grayscale, to grayscale that. Another thing you can do is you can take notes. So this is all Ahmed Aldori. It should be free. I think you have to change the donation deal at the bottom, and it says like, hey, I know you might want this for free, but if you have a few bucks, we'd appreciate it. But yeah, if I come over here, PureRef. Come over to PureRef, all your reference images in one place. Okay, standalone program for Windows, Mac, and Linux. It keeps track of your images. Get PureRef, which I think I gave them a tenner. I had to download it on my other computer, so if I do paintings, I can have references and stuff. But if you go to Personal, Windows, And then you look down here, it says ×1 total. Oh yeah, here you go. Thank you for your contribution. PureRef will continue. So there's 15.7, and if you do custom amount, you can actually zero it out. And then it says, we totally get that you want to try this before you buy. If you like it, please come back and support us with future improvements. So that's how you'll get it for free. Yeah, so it's now it says like total free. But yeah, it's totally worth, hell, it's worth $25 in my opinion. But I think I gave him a tenner last time. Because it is incredible. And now that they've added like animation stuff and you can actually draw on top of it to circle and check mark and stuff, it's really nice. But yeah, well worth it. But yeah, here's some Ahmed Aldori stuff. Let me, boom, boom. So like these are his quick sketches, and I just like the dynamics. He's not super worried about anatomy. He's not super worried about that. He's more worried about the mood of it. And you can see he's a big fan. And I think this is actually where I kind of picked it up, of the kind of the crossbar and diagonal light stuff. So he's the one that's very big into checkerboarding. Light on dark on light on dark on light on dark on light on dark. And but yeah, you can see really strong shapes, really cool brushwork, really nice illustration style. He's worked on everything. Like, God, he's worked on literally, I think, anything cool over the past 15 years he's probably worked on. And yeah, like, I just dig just these little kind of scratchy looks. And I have his brush pack too. I should probably use it more. Do I have it installed here? I do not. The Jamie Jones brushes. I know he uses a lot of Jamie Jones brushes. The Zhang Fenghua have those brushes. Maybe I should re-download his, because he's got some mean brushes, man. He's got some good ones. So anyway, that's the sort of vibe we're gonna try to go for. We're gonna extrapolate from our PureRef stuff. So if we go to, or SketchDaily rather. Okay, here we go. Gender all, clothing clothed, not including not suitable for work, poses all, view all, no timer. Let's do it. Hit start. Okay. So here's one. If I copy image, can I just put it right in here? Paste. I can. Cool. All right. So what did we want to do here? So this will be our first. And let's get one more just to have the other one on backup. And then we're going to hit the forward button here. There we go. That's cool. Okay. So then, and see, you can see how there's a lot of blank background. Like these are actual reference images. So we're going to copy image. Cool. And we'll probably just do these two tonight. Paste. Cool. So that one's going to be fun with a lot of good shapes in there. It's almost like she's jumping rope, actually. Okay. Okay, so we have these. That's cool. Now, I want to break down how I look at reference. So when I look at reference, what are the things that I notice? The first thing I notice is both of these references are lit pretty fully. Like there's lights, backlight, there's a bounce light, there's a key light. There's no real rim light. So the thing is, this is kind of soft lighting. And you'll see a lot of soft lighting in reference images. That's why working from pictures, from actual like photographs, excuse me, sometimes is not the best. It makes it more difficult because if you were to be in person, you would see, and plus the resolution of these isn't the biggest, of course, because it's on the web server and they have to cycle through them however many hundred times. So I understand why they don't have like 8K images up there. I think they sell separate things that you can buy that are really high resolution. But really, whenever you're mixing kind of flat lighting, because literally there's, I think, a light right on her side. They have the bounce light because of the void, essentially, because she's on the deal, and then that comes up smoothly, and then, but that's reflecting light back onto her. So she's just very flatly lit. Same thing for gentleman right here. Very flat lighting. There's not a lot of good shadow contrast. There's not a lot of good. There's no real like juice in that squeeze. There's not a lot of. There's nothing to really hang your hat on. So the first thing we're gonna do is change that, but we're not gonna edit the picture because the picture only gives us so much. It only gives us so much information. Literally, it only gives us so much information. So we're going to take a look at what is the picture of. Okay, this one is of a girl with pigtails. She has her Dorothy slippers on, stockings. It looks almost like she's jumping rope. Like her hand is there, but they didn't want the rope to get in the way. So we're going into that type of thing. But she could also be, you could change this to where this isn't really a uniform. This could be, you could modify these heels. She could have shopping bags. She could be wearing sunglasses. Like there's a lot of things you can do. Just kind of look at the overall vibe that you're getting from the picture. And then gentleman right here, I mean, this one, dude's in a zoot suit. So like zoot suit riot type stuff, right? And so yeah, you can have a really cool look under here. He could be under lighting on a corner. He could, I mean, there's a lot that you can do. But the only thing is, there's not a lot of information. We know he has the tie. The tie's lighter than the rest of the suit jacket. Yeah, I mean, we can see the structure of his face. We can see how he's holding the brim of the hat. We can kind of see the red feather, but that's not clear enough to me. So you would have to make that a little bit more pronounced. I like the hand against the black background, like this completely blacked out right here, which is great. I think that works well. But otherwise, you can light this kind of however you want, but it's a guy holding a hat. It's covering his face. That's it. You know what I mean? You get the information you need, and you can see the pose and the proportions, but everything else, you're going to have to kind of do it yourself. So that's why, last time, whenever we did the stream, we brought up things like the Asaro head. We brought up these tools like you can do in Clip Studio. You can bring in a 3D model if you use something like Blender or Daz 3D or Poser. It's an older one, but I know Poser still exists. Neon Sign's mandatory. So totally, you can start storytelling with these poses and these characters. But really, what I find happens a lot, and I am just as guilty of this as anybody, I try to go so hardcore to match the reference that I lose sight of an interesting picture. So I'm of the opinion, now, and this is just me, and I've actually had some people angrily disagree with this, and that's fine. Pictures very, very, very rarely, even doing a master study, all this other stuff, photographs very rarely make a good painting. Very rare. Because the thing that makes a photograph so interesting is not the same thing that makes a painting so interesting, in my opinion. You could think, oh, well, what if it's the same thing, like, 9 by 12 and it's of a landscape and it's all this stuff and someone took a picture of it and someone painted it and they look pretty close. Aren't they the same thing? Not at all. You have to make different types of very difficult decisions one way or the other, whether you're a photographer or you're a painter. And where a lot of people, including myself, start fumbling is we start mixing the two problem solvings and try to make this like hybrid thing, and it never works out. And we're like, why does the picture looks good. Why doesn't my painting look good? My painting looks really flat, but I color picked from the photo. What's going on? And yeah, you can talk about like color correction or, the exposure and the ISO and all that stuff, because that is purely photography. But on my mind, it's all about edges. You cannot get painterly edges very well in a photograph unless you did something to the ISO or the shutter speed or, which is totally doable. But anything you're going to find on Pexels, anything you're going to find on Unsplash, even if you go to like photobash.org, those won't necessarily make good paintings. It's a different skill set entirely. So it's about finding the essence of the shape. It's about finding what is it going for. And that's where these are actually very helpful, is because you have to invent a lot, a whole lot. So you have to make decisions, right? So we could do like big full paintings, but I'm curious as to how we can extrapolate the vibe, like a vibe check. And you would think, oh, just getting the proportions good is good enough and stuff, and maybe so. But like, okay, what would happen if we tilted her head to look up a little bit more? And she was like looking kind of down her nose at us while she was playing, almost like she's better than us. Totally could, and then it becomes, okay, well, what if she's royalty and the viewer is like the street vendor selling stuff while she's playing, and like, you can really start building these big narratives around it. But primarily what we're going to look at this time, and look at this, and this is not a knock against who took the pictures. This exposure is outlandish. This is outlandish. That is the most pure white into white into white into white into white into white into very light skin tone, into very light skin tone, into white teeth, into white this, into what. This would be impossible to draw correctly. And the reason why is you need a bunch of lines to tell you where stuff is. Here's the head, here's the mouth, here's the nose, here's the this. But because it's so blown out, there's not a line to be seen. So of course it's going to look wrong. So this is all about value control, which is why you make those decisions. You make the decision of, okay, I like her face, I like the proportions, I like kind of the collar coming out to make this cool little hook, like little triangle shape. We're going to use that for sure. And we can even light it relatively similar. We can have the light coming from this way. To me, it looks like she's about to get hit by a car. Like, the light is so bright. It's so bright. Like she's on the highway. Do you see what I mean? Like, it's so it's really hard to do. So what you then have to do, yeah, especially with lighter skin tones and stuff, it's super hard to do because there's nothing to grab onto. Like, there's nothing to see how the shadows are kind of going across. So you have to make stuff up. You literally just have to make it up. Okay, if I know the lighting's here and the Asaro head says the bridge of the nose is here, then the shadow should come this way. That's what you have to really look at more so than, like, what does the reference tell me? It tells me that the person that shot this blown out the highlights, is what this picture tells me. And like I said, it's no disrespect, because these are actually very useful, especially with shape language, because that's a strong silhouette right there. That's a great silhouette. I mean, it's turned a little, so it's a little skinnier and all this other, like, There's still improvements that you could do. We could even maybe turn her a little bit to see more of the foreshortening. Yeah, so that's what I mean. Like, it would work really well if you had this and the background was black. This would be a fantastic picture if the background was black. And then, honestly, this could have actually done with more brighter, bam, like more dramatic, because then you would have the cast shadow of this hat really like cut into the face. That's actually what we're going to do on mine. That's the first thing I noticed. I was like, oh, dude, you know, it looked dope. You have the same silhouette here, but then this shadow, you can kind of see it right here as it kind of comes across. We're going to literally make a triangle, boom, 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 and keep that dark to keep that, it's going to be almost like a NC Wyeth or JC Leyendecker. Like, it's a shape. It's just a bam. And that's going to look baller. Like, that by itself is going to make the subject pop. This one's trickier. It really is. The first thing we're probably going to do, I'll sketch it down. It sounds weird. This is how I phrase it. There's probably a better term for this, but I'm going to orb out her head. So when I say orb out, literally you can see if the head is a sphere, which it is, you can see where the highest highlight is. And then you can see where it starts, like the Terminator line is right around here. I mean, it's probably somewhere else, but because of that bounce light, it makes it trickier to see. Oh, no, I guess that's true because the ambient occlusion of the neck and all that stuff. So yeah, right around here. So we're going to treat it like an orb and then put face features on the orb. And then it's going to work out pretty well. It's going to look really bizarre at first, but you'll see what I mean. Because you have to treat everything like a form. It's a form in three-dimensional space. So like, how is it going to get hit with a light? But the cool thing is, you can also know that, let me bring up I already have Purif up, duh. So this is how Ahmed solves something like that. Do you see, it's kind of your midtone right here, but you have a really nice rim light that's a different temperature. And then he kind of just softens out, lose some of those edges on the other side. So you see what I mean? He's making a stylized decision about this. And then like here, nice underlight. So here's that nice shape I was talking about. So that triangle shape of a shadow, this is exactly what we're going to do. Like on the button, you know. But same thing here. This is kind of washed a little bit, but of course, I mean, Ahmed's is not. But like the lighting could be slightly washed out, but then you have all these nice nuances in the midtones here. Really cool stuff to like grab onto. And then this is the sketch that he makes. I don't know how, I mean, he gets his info from his sketches, but like I've always been fascinated with his sketch style. But something I do notice now that I never noticed before, because the last time I really studied Ahmed Aldori was probably 3.5, 4 years ago. He does his ambient occlusion shapes. That triangle, the darkest, darkest triangle, dark, dark, darkest, 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 dark. So it's like a marker. It's like a marker drawing. Smart. Maybe we should do that. You know. So yeah, let's do this. You might just do it like this size. Mode. Another cool thing that PureRef does, if you right click and you go into mode and you click always on top, no matter what your program is doing behind it, it will always stick on top of what you're working on. So do something like that. All right. Yes. So I do recommend every once in a while trying to do a one to one. And the reason why is because it doesn't work. And that sounds counterintuitive. But like the reason why it's such an effective exercise is you're going to learn that, like, the people that post up images that are like photorealistic and like you can tell they did like stippling and they did all this stuff to make it really look photoreal. That's an incredible achievement. And like the dexterity and the technicality is unbelievable. But where you really find your quote unquote style is how do you extrapolate? How do you simplify or condense, or what information is important to you? Because you could be looking at this reference and you'd be like, "Oh, Wes, I can't believe you didn't talk about the bows on the pigtails. Those are directing the eye to the neck that go up to the." You know what I mean? Like everyone's going to notice something different about the references, which is good. That's how it should be. So I do think trying to do it one to one, basically draw it exactly how you see it, is a great exercise because it's going to teach you that it's damn near impossible. But then you're going to know. You're going to get rid of that thing of like, well, I would be a good artist if my drawing looked exactly like my reference. Get that out of your mind. Like, it's hard to do. Trust me, it took me forever. But it's just more fun when you don't. Like, get all the critical information. Like, I would like to get the likeness pretty good on her face. Because I need to study that. I need to get better at getting likeness because I do like to stylize a little too much. I do like to take what it's showing me and morph it around or make the nose a little slantier or like whatever. Just or the chin, more bold on the face or whatever. Just because I find that to be interesting. But I do need to work more on getting likeness to be exactly right without tracing. It is what it is. Yes, I noticed that too. They added some really cool features. Yeah, always on top of. So then if you have like a web browser up, you can do that. But then once you minimize, I can click always on top of Photoshop. And then, yeah, always on bottom is interesting. So if I have PureRef open, but then I'm doing a presentation, and but I have three monitors, so I can just drag it over to a monitor. But if you didn't, if you only had one monitor and you were doing that, a Zoom call or whatever, you could right click always on bottom, and then no matter what other apps, Zoom or whatever, it's always going to be the first and foremost thing. Really cool. I love PureRef. Okay, so we are going to dig in and we are going to start drawing. I think this pencil wins. It's going to. This one is the one that's going to be going into my brush pack. So I did some slight modifications to it to do the flow and opacity jitter a little bit, but it really does feel like a number 2 pencil. It's super cool. Sometimes what I like to do is come in and actually put in the ear, because then I can use the ear as a thing to judge the rest of everything else. Like size-wise. So it's actually a little too big. And I have a tendency to do that too. Make features quite a bit too big. Maybe a little small, but we'll figure it out. And that continues up. We can kind of hit that. So if the middle right here goes to kind of the middle of the nose, let's lower this, bring it in a little bit. Let's just do the bottom of the nose. And see, this is what I mean. The face is not going to look right because there's not hardly any lines whenever you're drawing a face. Because remember what we talked about last time. A face is not made up of lines. It is literally skin stretched across smoothly. So it's all value stuff. Yo, Phoenix, what's up, man? So we have that. We have, so this nostril and this, and yeah, see, that's a little big too. Right there, that's kind of this area. Can't remember what that's called. But, and then you have the, see, in doing these lines, it's very helpful for mapping, but it also makes somebody look like they're 90 years old. Because the weathered, wrinkled maw lines right here really make somebody look old. So that's why lines are never really useful besides just mapping things. Because it really is all value control. And then that. So that shadow blocks like that. See, that comes down a little more. Okay. And the same thing with eyes. Like, do that. And you'll see I'm not using the Loomis method to build this face. I'm trying a different way just so you can see. Let's see, there's this above here. And then here's this one down here. And then her comes up here. And once we fix the other, so that's one eye, that's two eye, here's three eye. Usually your eyes are an eye's distance apart. Not always, but it's a good. See, using lines is just very weird. And especially with mouths. We always talk about it, but then if that's there, chin comes up here, a little dimple. And then you have like this. Buck teeth look. So this is the thing. All of this stuff is values. So, but now that we have that in, we can come in, we can push down a little more on the pressure and actually carve in the correct shape of what the face should be doing. Because then I'm going to come here. And about here is where the hairline. And see, this is funny because the way I'm drawing this right now, if you ever see like posts about bad tattoo artists and like, oh, I wanted a picture of my cousin, or I wanted a picture of my baby, or I wanted a picture of so-and-so on my arm, and they got a tattoo. Sometimes a tattoo artist will do it like this, and they will use lines, which don't. Do not. You know what I mean? Lines, I'm a big believer that lines do not exist. I think lines are not a natural occurring thing in nature. I think it is a difference of values. It's a difference of stuff like that. So, I'm one of those guys. I could be wrong. But I do not think there is a such thing as a line. I don't think it is a real thing. So, we're going to darken that up. And you'll see whenever we start bringing in values and stuff, that this looks way better than what it looks like right now. Because right now is not I apologize to the model, not doing you any favors. And then we also have kind of that cheek right there. It's going to be right here. That's going to come up there. And then you have that. Okay. And where does that bow come? That bow comes corner of the mouth right here. This keeps coming down there. So maybe like this. So we can like stylize it a little bit, but this is not where a lot of lines would be, you know? Okay. Yeah, that actually worked out okay. So then you have that. I did, well, I think I got it about right, but we'll be able to fix it, of course. And then we got something like this. It's a little too far out, but we'll just hit that. Hit that. And that leading line comes down here. Boom. Cool. I think I put her shoulder a little too far down. It looks a little too relaxed compared to on a portrait for hour. Oh yeah. What's up, Canton? So yes, you will see the difference that values make on a portrait. So really, and this is the way I approach every single, literally every single drawing I do. The drawing doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter because you're using it as a map to get to your next part of the process. You'll see a lot of artists, and you know, at a certain point, I'm actually one of them as well, that says good drawing skills will help your painting skills, and that's absolutely true. See, it's a little too much. Oh no, actually. And you have to think this contrast that we have right now is outlandish because this is pure black and pure white. So everything stands out like crazy right now, right? So this is mainly just getting proportions set up. This is getting the stuff on the grid, on your canvas, and you can jank with it later. But, you know, you can't edit words you don't have. You can't fix a painting that's not there. Like, it's that. 2, and then that comes up. Cool. So we'll do like that. And once again, we're going to stylize these pigtails. And then do something like that. And that leading line comes over here. Okay. And then that is going to be the line that tells us where other stuff is, right? Okay. So at that, that's there. Slowly comes back this way. Okay. So yeah, that's fine. What we can also do, let me change the shape of this ear a little bit. Okay. So we have that, right? We have the sketch. So, okay, painting teeth and painting eyeballs to me are kind of the same thing, because you have to think anatomically they are kind of the same thing. Well, one's made of bone and the other's made of like a squishy cartilage. But it's something that is a lighter value than things around it, but it's inset in an area or underneath something. So you have your eyelids and your top eyelids that are literally designed with your eyelashes to keep intense light from going directly under your eyeball. So it's almost like a little canopy, right? Same thing for your mouth. You have your upper lip right here, which is acting as the bridge that sort of like covers the teeth. So the thing is, even with like really white teeth, and this is the other reason why I'm not the biggest fan of this specific picture, the white of the teeth should not be the white of the clothes, should not be the white of the highlight, should not be the white of the eye, should not be, that's not correct. It's just not right. This is why it looks so blown out, is because this used the idea of like, oh, it's a highlight, we'll make it pure white. Don't do it. You know, you're not going to have a good time. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you kind of how I approach teeth and how I approach the eyeball. Okay. So here's the thing. There's a few things happening with that. Her hair, because her actual, what we could do, let me do something real quick. Copy. This is also a fantastic thing that you can do to study. I am going to lower the opacity of this. Oh, see, okay, that's a perfect, let me move that. So all I'm going to do is lower the opacity, okay? So right now it looks pretty legit, okay? So what I'm going to do is just, we have our background that's still visible, that's pure white. So watch, even when I bring this down to like 70%, a lot of the forms just kind of go away. Like, there's no form at all for where this cheek goes into this, goes in the bottom part here. There's just that little bit of mouth right there that then, without that, it would just go straight into the teeth. It almost looks like a filter was ran on it, but it wasn't. It was just the way it was developed. And then if you do that, see how that's blown out? It literally looks like she's on the surface of the sun. Like, just the way it's completely, it's too much. But what I was going to show is I think I think there's an optical illusion happening. And okay, when we talked about oh, what's it called? What's the word for the thing where something's on top of something? Oh, I'm drawing a blank because it's like 11 at night. Whatever that word is. Yeah, it might be a bot. That's true. It's either that or the peas are popping. But what we're looking at, I think, is the cranium. If this is coming this way, okay, so we have our line, which is right here, right? We have there. Gonna have your nasal starting right here. I always like doing this because it's a lot of fun to make somebody look like they're in a death metal band. So that's kind of turned. So that would be over here, like this. That's actually going to be closer over here. Like that. So we just kind of have that going right there. And then, of course, it's like the egg shape, right? It's more of like a longer look. So this actually comes back, right? So this is actually a fairly decent shape. But because the hair is making a almost a God, I can't think of that word. I keep getting on the tip of my tongue, like my mind is right there. But it's the optical illusion, because then you want to follow this as the shape of the skull, but it's not. The shape of the skull is more like this, and then like that. This comes, yeah, about right up here maybe. I mean, that's a little off, but you get the idea, right? So that actually slides back, and then you have the deal of that. So these are fun little exercises to do too, because you have the structure, and you can kind of see how the shape forms out. Yes, so that's why it's an optical illusion, is because here it's so close to the scalp that whenever your eyes follow that shape around, you fill in the gap of thinking that's where the actual cranium is. Does that make sense? So that's what we're going to do. Whenever we get this in here, whenever we start putting in the values, I'll show you what we do. Because a portrait is nothing but values. That's all it is. You could do a good portrait without putting a single sketch line down. In fact, I would argue you would do a better portrait if you didn't put any sketch lines down. Because sketch lines sometimes do heavy lifting where it's not needed. Because of the contrast. Really what it is. So yeah, you have something like that, right? So it's not the perfect skull. It's not perfectly tied out or whatever. But that gives you kind of the idea of what's going on. So we have that. So what we're going to do, I'll actually get rid of that. I'll get rid of that one. We'll come in here and see it looks way off right now. Way off. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do that. It's funny. This actually kind of looks like, I don't know if any of you know pro wrestling stuff, but this kind of looks like Stephanie McMahon, which is funny to me. So we're going to come in. I'm actually going to do kind of a dark silhouette base, kind of what we did last time, because this is going to give us more wiggle room. And we're going to do the thing that you really, you know, I see a lot of you saying, hey, why don't you like make the background darker? You know, because going against pure white is actually really tricky. It's tricky to do that because it messes with your sense of values, because you literally have pure white around it. It makes it real difficult to get a proper sense. That's why people ground their canvases. That's why people can go in and they can do the grisaille stuff, you know. Let's do that. So we have something like that. Let's make this bigger. All right. So there we go. So yes, we have a very sketchy look. You know what I mean? So what we're going to do is we are going to stay in grayscale. Oh, thought I was holding a spacebar, but maybe not. We're going to stay in grayscale. So we're going to change this over to grayscale as well. And see, I guess we could change this background to be... Let's do it something like that. Edit, fill. Actually, we'll do it an even simpler way. On this background, we'll unlock it. Then we will come and do a color overlay. This way, anytime we want to adjust it, we can adjust it just with a few clicks. So there's that. About right. Yeah, so it's about 50%. Maybe a little lighter than 50%, but pretty close. Okay. So we have that. Okay. So here we go. So if we were to manipulate this, it would be... If we were to do, let's say, our shadows, right? We're going to come in here and do shadows first. So we're going to do darker for here. We're going to save the darkest darks for the very end. Kind of how Ahmed did his really dark shapes. That's what we'll do. Okay, got that. And of course that side's going to come out. This side's going to come in. This is very much an exercise of like trusting the process. Because it's notoriously not going to look right until it looks right. Which sounds dismissive, but it's just true. It's like you have to trust that, okay, this looks wonky. It looks just weird, right? We're also going to come in, we're going to lighten this a little bit, but here's where we're going to do this. We're going to put in here, right? We're going to hit here. It's going to come around. We're going to hit here. And then, of course, where we mapped out this. And then we also have kind of right here. It comes under a little bit. It comes under a little bit. Comes under, so we can maybe smudge that out. All right. So also be sure to get under the eyes. That automatically helps. Like, it makes it just look a little bit better. Also, there's that little bit of cast shadow, boom, right here with the nose. Because you are going to have that for sure. Almost think of every portrait like a Rembrandt portrait. You're going to have your little triangle light, you know. Everything else, we're going to darken. We're going to darken that. We'll even make this the same value. Even though it's not, we'll make this the same value, right? Come in there here. Where are we at? Okay. So we have there. There. That catches all the light, so that comes around. Then you have something like this, right? Okay. Cool. Totally. Yeah, the Riley method. God, I haven't done the Riley method but for that, I was not ready for it. Like, it's so difficult because it's like, no, this isn't right. This doesn't look good. This doesn't look good. Whatever like imposter syndrome you have, I feel like exponentially just grows, right? Yeah, exactly. Like it'll never get there. It'll never do whatever. But then it's funny because you'll set it down. You'll have gotten pretty far into the process. You'll set it down. You'll be like, this is crap. This is garbage. But then like one of your friends will walk by or like a relative and they'll be like, that looks great. You're like, what are you talking about? Because you're so in that like mindset that you can't see it. You can't see the forest for the trees. You know, you can't, you're so in the weeds that you can't, yeah, it's, so, okay, here's kind of the proof in the pudding as far as knowing that this is kind of blown out, right? The lights, you know how we had the conversation last stream about how whenever we were looking at the exponential value curve, how the darks get very dark very quickly, but then there's almost like infinite space in the midtones and the lights. This kind of does the opposite. This pretty much just went to pure white for everything, right? Or close to it. So it was like, and then they're like, oh, well, you have the highlight on the nose, and then you have the highlight on the cheeks, and then you have the highlight on the forehead. And then and then you have, oh yeah, of course, this highlight right here. This highlight right here. You got the highlight on the chin. Like, this is what this photograph is doing. Oh, and then the neck, of course, that needs to be right here because the light's hitting that. Oh, and then naturally, this is all white, so it has to be like the most white that's ever been white. Is right here, no shadow there, doesn't pop that. So then we'll come over here. Like, you're losing so much information. It's just not interesting. There's nothing to hold on to. It just doesn't work. This does not work. This is wrong. This is evil. Don't put this evil on me, Ricky Bobby. Like, this is not a great time to be had. That's not what this is. So what I would actually do, I would start from my background color. I would start from here, whatever that is. And then I would work up just a little bit, right? And I would use that to kind of bridge here. I would bridge this first. Okay. And it'll still look weird. She still kind of looks like the Joker just because the mouth and all that stuff. So, and I would do the same thing here. The outfit you can get away with a little more. And that's just because light is hitting that a certain way. And it's literally made out of material that is supposed to absorb light. So if you have pure white and it's a white light, that thing's going to be bright as hell. It's just going to, that's just how it's going to be, But let's even bring some of these grays into the shirt. Let's just do it. Because I want to show you guys how giving yourself wiggle room is kind of the way that you can get way more control, even if the reference isn't great. Because, okay, now we have this. Yeah? So we can go, okay, well, it's still not looking right, which is true. And let me lighten up the teeth a little bit. Okay, so let me work up a little bit more in value. Just a little bit, right? Then I'm going to come in here. We're going to keep that transition. So let me just bring this in here, like this. See, and that's not even a huge change, right? It's fairly mild in regards to the value difference than what we had before. Okay. And then we'll do the same thing again. We'll barely tweak it up a little bit, just a little. So we'll kind of have this, we'll bring that in. And then let's even like hit these, even though That's way too light for those ribbons. I think you'll be kind of surprised. So let's do it again. We'll come up a little bit more, and we'll start finding the places that are a little bit more hit by the light, right? And remember, this is just one brush. We're not doing anything fancy yet. We are just blocking in. This is all we're doing. So I'm going to come over to the side because, yeah, it does kind of fall off right there. We're just going to keep coming in and keep doing this. I am going to hit those front teeth with that. Maybe here, definitely here. Because what you're doing here is you are developing the form. The form is the thing that got lost because of overexposure, right? So it looks a little tumbly, it looks a little grody, it looks a little like slapdash right now, because it is. It definitely is. But just like in the past stream we did, whenever we kind of bring these edges into each other, see, and I'll kind of get there. Whenever we start bringing these edges into each other, and then we lower the opacity of the lines, and then we start building up even more of the shadows, it's almost gonna be like a light switch. You're gonna see it and be like, oh, okay, everything's fine. You know? And then, okay, so we're here. We're gonna grab that again. We're gonna work up a little more. Do the same thing. Brighter, bright. Actually, let's go up a little more. So brighter, bright. Brighter, bright. Brighter, bright. Bright here. Get that good shape. Block it in. And then, yeah, these are going to be very much like that. And then also we can bring that over. Okay. Doing something like that, right? We're making decisions. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. We'll save the brighter brights, okay? Let's actually go a little darker dark. So we're going to pick this dark that we have. We're going to darken it. We're going to come into the places that aren't getting much light at all. Right? So we're going to come through here. We're going to hit some of these. Right by the ear. I'm going to follow that, make that nice silhouette shape. So we're kind of orbing it out. Remember how we kind of talked about we're going to make it an orb. We're definitely going to do that here in a minute whenever I get like the soft brush and the airbrush. We're literally going to make this look like an orb. But it's going to have some of this lighting information that's going to help us maintain some sort of clarity. So here I'm just kind of looking and kind of color picking around because I am starting to refine the shape a little bit. Because you'll see what a dramatic difference it makes whenever we really smooth out these transitions. Especially for a young woman. Really any kids and women primarily do have softer features. Typically, of course, there's always exception to either prove or disprove a rule. But it's normally a safe bet that you can maybe soften curves. You can maybe airbrush around. That's why a lot of people, just for glamour shots, whatever, sex or gender, whenever you're using airbrushes, that's going to soften out and get rid of any harsh shadows or things like that. Do you do all your portraits, or if they have troublesome color? So this one's a little bit different. This one you kind of have to wrangle. You kind of have to find out where it is. But the theory is the same regardless. You work with some darks, you work with your lights, and you make sure the transitions are kind of where they're supposed to be. That part never changes. But this one, I'm actually introducing more mid-tone, which is harder to do because you have to kind of know the structure of the face. You have to do that. So we're not there yet, but you'll see whenever we really get rid of some of these brush strokes, how we have a building block that then we can come in and start having some fun with, even with texture and stuff. So we have something like this, right? Let's do those. We did get the darker around the chin for sure. Let's actually redarken some of the bows. Okay. Another thing we want to do. So I'm gonna do this. It's not necessarily right, but I'm gonna show you. See how we're gonna put that real white right there in the eyes? It's not technical. Well, I guess it might be correct on this one, but you'll see. Hardly ever do I use pure black and pure white. They just don't really exist in nature. I mean, if you're in the annals of space, maybe, but like here, not so much. Like in the really real world where we are right now, not as much. So I'm going to take the background color again. We did this last time too. This is always a good trick. Because if you're using your background color as your 50%, you can always use it to start your hair highlights. Because it's usually going to be lighter than whatever your hair is, right? So, okay, we have something like this. Okay. Usually helps bring out the photo for me. So I didn't. And part because I do also have Lightroom, and I can throw it in and do some automatic adjustments and stuff like that. But here, I wanted to show if you just go on Google, you find the photo, and then you like, okay, I guess this might work. But it's not set up for painting. What do you do? And it's a good exercise. It's a good exercise to be able to kind of figure out what you want to do. It's not, space isn't real. I've never been, so it can't exist. Pipe, what's up? Got my Rebel 7 today. Did not go pro for my skills. Normal feels right. It's not throwing flowers, but it... Oh, thanks. Thanks so much. I hope you like it. If you have any questions about Paintstorm or Rebel, please let us know. Yeah, big fan of both of those. So we have this, right? Clunky. Sketch isn't quite right. We're going to lower the opacity of the sketch. And already you can start seeing a little something, right? So we're going to actually keep it here so we can still see it a little bit. But now we're going to grab the airbrush. And we are going to soften pretty much all of this. Right? So I'm going to grab the dark, kind of come over, grab the light, transition into that. We'll do this, darken here. We will sort of get rid of a lot of what's making this look a little wonky. We're actually going to airbrush into both of those. We're going to airbrush into here. This is like orbing it out, right? And then we're going to come back and add more harsh shadow stuff. Because right now, there's not enough of it, you know? So, got that. Got that. This is actually going to come over. Kind of smooth this out a little bit. And really a good rule of thumb, your form shadows and your form highlights. So if it's something literally attached, like if it's a light or a shadow based on how the form is reacting to the light around it, it's a safe bet to soften the transition. Use a soft brush, use an airbrush, use something like that, and soften it. If it is a cast shadow, like, okay, this shadow on the nose, this one right up here is going to be a form shadow. But any shadow coming off like this kind of the one down, because this part of the nose is casting a shadow, should be sharp, right? That's a very easy thing to remember, and it really makes a difference. So you notice through all the skin and all this stuff, there's very much soft transitions, right? These are very soft. You can even come here with like the darks of this and even do it with the hair. So like I said, we are literally orbing this out right now. We're making it into an orb, okay? Kind of getting rid of all the grit and the grime. We're doing all that. We can sort of span this out here. And now we're getting to the point where we need to go without our lines. Because even just this little kind of coming through, and really I can grab a smudge brush and really make this in fact, this is why I had Clip Studio open. I can bring this into Clip and do this real fast. But you're basically getting these shapes in there, okay? Oh, that's why I did all of this on the sketch layer. So yeah. So that's why it looks all jank. That's fine. So you know what we're going to do? We're at this point anyway. We're going to grab this one. This is actually why I don't work in layers, because I don't like doing stuff on the wrong layer. We're going to merge down. We're going to merge down. Now we only have one layer. This is kind of what the end goal was going to be anyway. So we'll do that. I was wondering why it wasn't airbrushing as well as it normally does. And it's because it was trying to airbrush the sketch layer and not this. So let's go ahead. We're going to go and do it again. We're going to come over. There it is. And lose these edges. We're going to lose them completely, right? There you go. We're actually going to lighten that one a little bit. Then we're going to come over. We're going to lose it. And we're going to lose that one. We are going to lose this one. We're going to lose that one. We're going to bring that one up. We're going to bring this one. We're going to bring this one. Transition here. So that's a soft transition. Soft. Soft transition. So we have something like this, right? Now it's getting there. Now we're starting to cook with gas a little bit. Yeah, see, it's supposed to make some edge. Like, I was like, why is this not making an edge like normal? But cool. Okay, so we're gonna bring that in a little bit, maybe down here, because yeah, the chin is actually just the difference between the neck and the actual structure. You have that transition there. I'm actually going to lighten this a little. There we go. Okay. And that actually needs to lighten up a little bit. There we go. That can lighten up a little bit. There you go. There you go. So you can actually see already. Now this is starting to look like a human being. Like, it's starting to not read as just completely out of their mind. You know what I mean? Like, which, you know, sometimes it can. But really just that nice kind of smoothing of airbrushing really helps, especially on portraits. So we have something like this. Right. I'm going to change the shape of this again. And once you have this information in, it's actually way easier to go back and start carving out your shapes again. Okay. We have that. We have that. Okay. Kind of getting rid of eyebrows and stuff, but you know, we'll add them back in. No worries. Okay, so same thing here. We're going to transition that one. Cool. That's actually a fairly harsh line, so we're going to bring this over. There you go. Something like that. Cool. So, now is the time where we can come in and now bring in, it can really bring in those darks, right? So, once we get those knocked in, then you can start modifying some of the, like the teeth, the eyes, you know. So we got rid of the lines, get rid of those. A face is just values. That's all it is. That's all it is. Don't need any lines on there, right? So, and, oh yeah, just merge it, make a new layer. Good to go. So we'll just work on the same layer. You know what I mean? Doesn't even matter. We don't need a new sketch layer. We can actually come here, do something like so. Something like so. Not really zoomed in yet. We'll get there. And once you start kind of applying this across the person, let me get rid of that because I need to restructure where that is. It's a little dark. We can slant the eye a little bit more. That. Come down there. Boom. You can do the same thing here. It really makes a difference whenever you start putting those forms in. So you have something like that, sure. I could probably zoom in and get a better look at this, which I should probably do, but so yeah, we're actually going to get rid, like there's kind of a line here, but I sort of want to paint it out because actually it needs to come back around a little more. So it needs to, like, that sort of thing. Needs to do a little something like that. So then, that's where the middle is. And I will lighten this layer, or this value. But really what we're going to do, we're going to do this. Bring in the lips. So the lips are really weird, because they actually stretch over the teeth. So usually what I do to get teeth looking right is I keep them a little darker and then hit them with a highlight where the specular highlight hits. And that usually helps because you don't want it to be like this, even though that's how it is on the picture. because it just doesn't look right. It just looks unnatural. It's the same thing for the eyeballs. You don't want all of the eye to be white, because it's not. It's an orb that is setting within a structure. So if you do like this, and see, I'm doing little tiny changes of pressure to make it not pure white. And then if that comes back over, and yeah, we'll change the measurements and stuff momentarily, but this gives you a decent idea. And this lip actually comes up over. This one's going to come down and out. That's not as big, so we're going to bring that over. And this lip, the bottom lip, always catches highlights. So I like to grab the highest highlight. Just do that. It's kind of a life hack cheat thing, you know? How many years have I been painting? So professionally, about 5. But before that, I did art school and all that stuff. So I was always interested in it from a young age. But I've only been working with clients and doing portraits and environments and all that stuff for 5 years as a pro. And see, and that's the other thing, is the likeness is not exactly right. But like I've said before, if I was getting paid money to do a portrait of this person, we would do a sit-down session, right? Like meet them in person or whatever. Or if I couldn't meet them in person, we would do like an over the Zoom, like little portrait shoot or something. And I would trace it to get it down onto the canvas. Every professional portrait artist that I've ever met that makes money doing it traces. Every single one without exception. And these are people that are in like Library of Congress type stuff. They have done like portraiture of presidents, and like they wouldn't be caught dead not tracing the person. There's also a show on the BBC called the Britain's Greatest Portrait Artist type stuff. And you'll see them, they'll block out some stuff, but usually what they'll do nowadays is they grid it out. They take a picture of the sitter, and then they do the grid method. Every once in a while you'll have somebody freeball it. They'll just kind of do the thing. But, it is what it is. Actually, that's not bad. So, and this could still be considered very like preliminary steps. A good portrait takes an insane amount of time. Like whenever I did some portrait stuff for Warhammer, even though those are fake people, that stuff took, God, 60 hours. Ridiculous. Because there's so many little nuances that you want to make sure you get. And then like, is that, oh yeah, and that's going to have a little bit of bounce light. Not that much, but you know, because that's a little wide. It's also a little light, so we need this to be a little darker right here, because there's not a lot of light there, you know? Practice painting, say, hey! So, yeah, you don't want your portrait to be SpongeBob. So you have that. Really, I think this is more so the eyes than a lot of stuff. Yeah, use something like this and do something like that. So yeah, the thing is, this is a very kind of literal interpretation, even if the measurements are kind of off and stuff like that. You can always, yeah. So yeah, that's totally true, especially here. So you can use the old, what I like to call the concept art fix. If you go to edit, transform, you can liquefy, you can also warp. But if you go to filter, you go to liquefy. And then let me bring this over. We can literally look and be like, oh, okay, this needs to come down. This needs to come over. This needs to extend out a little bit, right? I'll need to actually come in and fix that. This needs to come over. This needs to be smushed in a little bit. Little bit. This, yeah, needs to come in a little. Move that in. Move that down. Actually, keep that up. Keep that down. You just need to kind of change the angles on some of this stuff. So, you have that. That just needs to be kind of embiggened. I just need to grab that and make her eyes bigger. That's what needs to happen. Do that. This is every concept artist's favorite friend. Is you put the paint down, and like I said, you can't edit paint that's not there. So that's why something like this works well. You have that. Boom. So we got that. Now this gives us a little bit more room to come here. Turn it. And actually, it's funny. I know it's going to mess this up, but yeah, I just need to change where the shine is. But literally, I think I had the shape of her eye upside down, which happens sometimes. I just need to come in and bring that top part right there. And then, so we got that one, deselect. Come here. Man. Yeah, for real. Like, everybody who has gotten a huge, amazing career from doing like movie posters of famous actors and stuff like that, every single one of them trace. Every single one of them. So we have something like this. And here is where, okay, now we have something here. Now we can start noticing these smaller little nuances, right? In the look. And really, to be completely honest with you, the best painting software to get these smaller changes, so like all, edit, copy merged, is going to be Clip Studio Paint. So, bam. Now we're in. Now we're just in one layer. So, we brought our background color in as well. So, Photoshop wet. And see what I mean? These are very literal studies. The next one I do is going to be a little bit more I know I was talking about Ahmed Al-Dori. We can maybe do one in that sort of style, see if we can do it. So yeah, these are a little bit more like liquid brushes. This is going to come up over here. This one's going to come back down. And then that part of the eye is going to get just a nice smooth transition, right? Actually need that will be a little more. There we go. And then a little sharp. Okay. Then come to Photoshop. That brush right there. Smoothing that out. This is why I've always said time and time again, this might be my favorite digital brush ever. Because it does exactly what I need it to. It's almost like it has my creative mind on speed dial. Because it can be soft if it needs to be soft. But it like blends pretty perfectly. You know? That. Come and bring in this nice triangle shape here. But yeah, good portraits take forever. Forever. They just do. It's the nature of the beast. Kind of see, smooth that out a little bit. See, now we're getting somewhere. Now we're starting to go a little bit. Bring this one in too. Bring that one in. We can always bring in just the blender brush. You know, do something like that. They're so stressful. A good portrait just means where, in my opinion, I mean, it depends on the goal. So if you're doing a portrait of a real person, how much does it look like the person? Like, a caricature could be a good portrait. If you get the nuances and you kind of, oh, I know what that person, like, not photorealistic, doesn't have to be. But if you're doing something more stylized, making sure it doesn't have anything that draws you out of it. Like, oh, that nose looks too dark. Oh, basically you get rid of what you can if it's making a scene. If it's drawing somebody out of the image, fix it. You know what I mean? Like, that's my definition of a good portrait. Because, yeah, really just portraits are only values. That's all they are. I mean, you could argue every painting is only values, but especially portraits. You don't need a dark mark where there are none. You know what I mean? Which is why when you're doing them from imagination, everybody kind of uses the concept art cheats. You do rim lighting and you do all these things. That way you can have good looking shapes, and even if the proportions are off, it doesn't matter as much. here's fun because then you can get into some cool. Actually, that is going to be over here. That's going to come over more here. And see, the more smooth you make stuff and less sharp you make some of these, the younger the person's going to look. So like if you want a real exercise on getting good values and all that stuff, try to make a picture of a baby. You are going to be furious after about half an hour because it won't look right. I promise you it won't look right. Because it has to be down to the values. The values cannot be off at all, or the baby's going to look like a 90-year-old man. It's just, that's how it is. That's how it is. So it is a perfect way to test your knowledge. So we're getting closer. So not great. But we've actually introduced more midtone than there is in the reference picture. And see, the thing with lines are just a representation of a change of plane or a change of value. So if you have light against dark, that's your line. You don't need a line to show that. Like, we can get rid of lines that are doing that. Like, this line doesn't need to be there. We can get rid of it because the darker hair coming over is doing the line's job. Does that make sense? Like, you don't need a line on a line. It's like putting a hat on a hat. You don't need two. If you have a good variance of value, use that as your line. Oh, and see, tangent. That's the word I've been looking for like an hour and a half. A tangent. That was I had my eyebrow and the hair on the same thing, and that's not correct. This is more correct. Still not quite right. And the eyebrows are actually a little too dark. And yeah, if I come in with a blender brush and really make this work, it's going to look good. So you can also do this. The values around the eyes are still off because I need that to be brighter, because this catches right here. It is amazing at how much eyelids make up likeness. Because just adding that has kind of saved some of the nuance. This needs to be bigger though. It's a little dark, so let's just get that. There we go. And see, we've got that a little too light. This can darken. We can change the proportion here momentarily, but it's really just about getting that baseline shape. It needs to open a little more. Right. Yes, that the T shape is everything. As long as you get the eyes proportionate to the ears, proportionate to the nose, proportionate to the mouth, you can do whatever you want. They can have lizard scales on their skin for all I care. It'll still look like the person. But This is also why, actually, I need to lower that value a little bit, or heighten it, I guess, make it brighter. But a lot of people will have the thing like, I can't draw a nose. How do you draw a nose? For the life of me, I can't draw a nose. The secret is you don't draw the nose. You don't draw it. It is balancing your values. That's all a nose is. It's literally skin wrapped around like cartilage. There's no hard edge on a nose unless you have a cut or something. And a lot of, I've noticed a lot of like anime and manga, they love that thing where there's like a cut going across somebody's nose, because then you can do the contour line and that tells you where, that tells you where your stuff's going to be. So, like the bridge of the nose and stuff. And we're actually going to lighten that shadow because that cast shadow is not as dark as a form shadow. I'm going to kind of get rid of that. Bring it here. And see, you'll notice the more lines we're getting rid of, the better it's looking. And that's how that works. Like, that's legitimately how portraiture exists. Like, there are no lines. Get rid of lines. You might need them to map out stuff like we did earlier. But, like, as you're working, get rid of them. Shit, tiny, yeah. Little change, and then comes out and blah. Like, it's crazy. And see, so the eyes are still a little off. That's fine. Oh, it's because they're too dark, actually. So if I came over and did this, then I did this. See, here's where we were. We need to be closer to about right there. Right? Maybe a little less. There we go. There's a layer below. Cool. Then we can come back in with a darker and darken it up again. Also, I didn't know this. Clip has a liquify tool, which is cool. It's not as nuanced as Photoshop's. Actually, yeah, that needs to be a little there. That needs to be a little here. Right. Needs to come in a little bit. That needs to come in a little bit. Little pushy. Actually, her face looks a little too long. I'm just going to kind of squeeze that together. Need to enlarge it. I know there's a way to do that in yeah, so her eyes actually need to be bigger, I think. Pretty sure. First big brand I worked for was Adidas. That was the first like global name. Whenever I did their Feel the Future X9000 shoe or whatever, we did that TV commercial. It's a cyberpunk, which is cool. I'm glad that my first pro job was cyberpunk. I always enjoy that. Do that. Let's see, and then that actually comes back and around. And this this is almost like anime face, a little bit. Something like that. Yeah. The shape of her eye is off. Back with soup. Yeah, boy. Just trying to escape Adobe. Absolutely. So yes, I saw, Greg, I think you sent me the message about how do you import the brushes? Like, how do you organize your brushes? Really, if I'm bringing in a Photoshop brush pack, I literally just kind of, you can have the ABR file and then just drag it over onto your subtool brush setting, like right next, like up here, and it will make a new category of that brush pack. It imports the brushes, but it also keeps the names, and it makes it a subcategory. Like that's what I did with these dark hand brushes. That's what I did with the Greg Rutkowski brushes, Daniel Ibanez's brushes. I did that with his, even my brushes. This is like my 2020 set, I think. I just brought it in, and yeah, it kept all the names. It kept all that stuff. So yeah, there's just a lot of here. So maybe if I go into the Photoshop and then I get the blender brush, I can really blend some of these, you know, really kind of blend these out. Get rid of any sort of line. But then I'll come back in and redefine them, you know. Yeah, this is almost like an airbrush that does like 10% opacity painting. Works pretty well. And like I said, of course you can come in with a smudge tool in Photoshop or whatever and really make it. We haven't even looked at the mouth yet. Bring that over. Yeah, so hopefully you can kind of... And then the cool thing is if you use this kind of blender brush on the edge, it kind of softens out the edge. Makes it look a little more painterly. It's cool. See, it's funny. It looks like somebody, just not the person we're supposed to be drawing. You know. come out here, kind of come around, get some of that brush look right there. And it's funny, we talked about Ahmed Aldori. That's sort of how he got a lot of his cool, like, brushstroke looks, is he would hit stuff up with that sort of blendy airbrush look, you know. So yeah, nose is off. I mean, a lot of it's off. Really, I actually do think I need to just squish her head. Like, go like, boop. Oh, after importing. Yeah, it's tricky. Like, just the drag and drop stuff. But yeah, I just need to, really what I need to do, I need to come in here, I need to do this. I need to go boom, boom. And then what I might actually do, I have the preview window of the stream on this thing, on this monitor. So I might actually resize it using this monitor because it's a different focal length. Let's do something like that. So yes, Pure F. Love me Pure F. Let's go back to bam. And it's funny, I like these Photoshop brushes so much that I imported them pretty much in every other Clip Studio brush pack. So that way I don't need to leave any brush pack to go get them. So like this is the Greg Rakowski ones, but he didn't make this brush, but I just moved it into this because I dig it. If that's over here, maybe that does get a little darker there. Gets a little darker there. I think I see something. It's going to help. That shape right there. Like I was always saying before, the under eye is usually pretty sharp. And I was missing that. And then, yeah, oh, yeah, you're absolutely right about moving the mouth up, too. And that's actually going to give us a little more room to do our swoopy shape. Right? And this whole cheek thing's not working out. So, what I'm going to do, because this is where the values are really specific. So that's a little too bright. I don't want to close that gap too much. What I might do is kind of like a sorrow head this out and figure out where I actually want the lighting, as opposed to where it is on the reference. See, yeah, and even the lips are a little too bright. We have that, that. Make that a little bigger. So you can come with this main Photoshop brush and then get the Photoshop wet and come in and like smear it out. It's usually a pretty good deal. And then do something like that. And then let's bring that down a little more. Because I like that contrast shape. That contrast shape a little better. Yeah, I can really come in. I said we're not going to do lines, but that's kind of not true. We are going to do some lines, but only right around here. Because we want these shapes to really pop, right? It's the whole idea of this. So you see what I mean? We're getting there. It's looking more like a human being, which is always an exciting prospect for a portrait, you know? Just kind of bring those in. And the nice thing is that is kind of where oil collects around the eye ducts. So it's a good place to get that. So let's connect that, right? Let's change that line. And if you notice, we're still not even at like full white yet. We're saving that. There's a nice little special treat. That actually needs to be, this up here needs to be just a touch darker. See, I'm doing the thing I said I should stop doing, and that's getting too close to the reference or using it for too much information. But it is what it is. We all have our... Oh, that actually needs to be darker. Let's bring in that brush. And you notice I've just been using smooth brushes this whole time, right? So that's a little dark, but we're gonna kind of smudge it out a little bit with that wet brush, like so. We can always temper it. Now this looks like a high school yearbook photo, is what this looks like. I guess that is kind of where the crop is, though, you know. Alrighty, Lord Salt. Thank you, brother. A woman. Yeah, you can backseat art me all day, but damn it, I need to learn Street Fighter. Oh, and then we can do this. Do a nice little bing. Oh, that's too much. Here we go. Something like that. So yeah, you get a little something like this, you know. Maybe that little highlight you get hit. Maybe down here it gets hit. Maybe down here it gets hit. But here we go dark. Actually, we don't need to go that dark. We need to go about right here. Might need to adjust that angle a little bit. We're going to bring this up actually into that. Now we can grab that, make this hair a little thicker, kind of pick up some of that negative space, right? So something like that. So yeah, we're getting there. You know what I mean? But this is all it is, guys. It's just, you see it, you notice something, you change it. You see it, you notice something, you change it. And you just do that for, 40 hours. That sharp right there. That actually, interestingly enough, doesn't just kind of cut in right there. You can see that light. So what we can do is almost crosshatch. We'll grab our background color. We'll kind of crosshatch into there. You can actually crosshatch pretty good, and it's going to do a pretty good job of giving us the look that we want. And then I'm using the sharp brush right now. I'm going to come back in a minute and use the wet brush to kind of blend this in. But just to sort of give you a quick sneak peek. And then it's following the rules of value. So the highlights are getting darker. Even though they're still highlights, they're going to be darker than these other highlights that are actually out towards the light source. Something like that. Let's bring, actually that bridge is up here like that, right? Let's go like this. And that one comes over here like this. Kind of get that nice razor sharp look. That's why I like these two brushes in here. Is one you can use like a razor blade and cut, while the other one is kind of a smear smudge thing, which is cool. Because very rarely do I like super sharp brush strokes. But see what I mean? We're starting to get, it's starting to build the forms. It takes a while. Let me actually get something lighter. Highlight hit, cool. Yeah, you know, a little obvious, a little, do I study kind of like this every day? I try to, not every day lately, but I will say, and this is no joke, for the first 400 days, I was a pro. So from like October 2019 to like the start of 2021, I did a painting a day. Every single day I did a painting. They were bad. They didn't look great. It didn't matter. I did one painting every single day. And it could have been a study of something. It could have been a direct copy of another artist. It could have been still life. It could have been sketches. It could have been whatever. But I did a dedicated sit down, 2 hours minimum type of every single day and made it a habit. And the nice thing about it is, one, I got way better across that year, or a little over a year. Got way better. Got more comfortable with my tools, got more comfortable with all that stuff. The real thing is, now I feel weird if I don't do some art, something every day. It built this like thing in my brain to where I feel like, not that the day is wasted, but like I could have done more with my day because I feel off. It's like, no, we got a lot done, and we rebuilt one of the bedrooms and put up drywall and all this other stuff, but I didn't get to paint today. So maybe tomorrow we'll be able to, you know what I mean? And like, there's the joke that where if you don't want to work a 9-to-5 job, work for yourself, because then you're never going to have time off. You won't work 9 to 5. You're going to work 24/7 every day, all day. And that's true. This essentially is part of work, which is cool. It's probably my favorite part of work. This and like working with clients and stuff and like doing those calls and everything. It's my favorite part. But it's work. This is basically me cutting time in to be like, I'm going to do portraits right now. I'm going to do the SketchDaily. I'm going to show people that so I can study. You know what I mean? We could have done more. Absolutely. Something, it could have been, I could have made part of my grisaille painting. That way I could get the oils out and do what it like. I'm always cooking. Like my brain's always doing something. So, okay. I think our friend here is kind of done for right now. Now it would just be kind of nitty gritty stuff. It would just be like, well, let me come in here and let me grab this and let me get that right here. And yeah, the proportions are still off. And yeah, I need to get these lines set up a little better. I need to come in. But really, at a certain point, we kind of got everything we needed from this one. Do you know what I mean? Like I can come in and make it look a little better and like bring in some hair stuff here, and we can do some wispy stuff and maybe a few stray hairs, make it look a little bit more interesting and realistic. We're noticing how the hair kind of comes off of the tension of the ponytail, and so you can do a lot. You can still come in and really work this bad boy, but what are you getting out of it? It's fine. Like, nothing Nothing crazy, but I already got a Discord, my friend. So let me get that link. Bam! So we got that. Yeah, and in fact, I have a thing open right now. I think the due date is August 23rd. People can send in work and kind of how they want me to critique it. Like, oh, I have this painting. I feel like I have a problem with this. My goal is to do this, like work for Magic or work for D&D, whatever. Work for Halo or whatever. And then we're gonna do that as its own stream. August 20. Let me find that. August. Okay, the due date is August 23rd. The stream itself will be August 24th. Yeah, join on up, man. We'll definitely use it. I mean, more and more people are joining up now. It used to be Patreon only, but then I was very bad about not being on Discord. So the Discord was like very silent for a while. But hopefully with the stream and being able to bring in people and stuff like that, we can get it way more active. We can have events. We can do stuff like that. So that'll be fun. In fact, we're almost at 8,000 YouTube subscribers. So I want to do a giveaway at 10,000. And it's either going to be my Critta book or one of my... I have some backlog Warhammer stuff. We'll do something. Like, I'd like to set up events. Really, the big event would be at 100,000 subscribers. But we're a long ways from that. A long ways. Because, like, I have collector's edition Percy Jackson books that are signed by Rick Riordan, the creator of Percy Jackson, but that my art is inside of. Like, I got some limited stuff, and this stuff's going for pretty penny on eBay. And then, of course, I would sign it as well. So it'd be mine and Rick's signature in the books. So yeah, like, there's some really cool giveaway stuff I have planned, but it's got to take off a little bit, Oh, that's my back, by the way. I don't know if you guys can pick that up on the mic, but... Ooh. Yes, sir. That's actually in the next few weeks. I'm going to be setting up. So my main thing, and this is maybe in the weeds, I don't know. Or maybe it's the most basic question ever. So I'll be using Affinity Publisher, right? Which is their version of InDesign, which I'm familiar with InDesign, and I'm pretty... It's kind of the same. Like, they're laid out pretty much the same. So, like, text... text warping and stuff like that around images, because it's primarily going to be an art book, but then it is going to have some graphic novel-esque short stories that are only like 7 or 8 pages a piece. Just maybe key moments or something. But I'm trying to decide, do I make the entire image, including the lettering, in the paint program, or do I save the room for the lettering and do that in Affinity? And I think that's what I'm going to do, because then it will be accessible to screen readers if they're doing it on tablet. And plus, you have more control over how the text looks in a publishing program than you would in a painting program. It just is what it is. But I don't know how... it's that type of stuff. Like, the storytelling, and I have... it's funny, I have Framed Ink Volume 1, which I love. So I ordered Framed Ink Volume 2, and I'm like a chapter into it. But I need to read the whole thing, because that is gold. Like, how to lay out the panels, how to get it, if you're reading from this to this, if you want some drama, do this and use these shapes. Like, it is a playbook, you know what I mean? So I love those freaking books. But putting them into practice is a whole different thing. And then what I really need to do is I need to write it. I need to literally write the script, because I haven't written the script yet. I know what's going to happen. but I need to write it. Be like panel 1 blank, panel 2 this, panel 3 that, panel 4 that. This character says this and this and that. Like, I need to plan this thing before. You can also make your digital comics be so the speech bubbles could pop up on their own so people can see the whole art first. Oh, that's sick. Kind of like the Metal Gear graphic novel stuff. God, that would be cool as hell. Because that's the thing. This is going to be a very weird project, and it's only going to cost like the first volume, which is probably going to be about 80 pages, I would say, is going to be about $3. Because I want to prove to people that this is an idea, that this is a big thing. And then if I make a few other ones and put like an anthology or, you know, basically I'm just aping exactly what Evan Amundsen did with his TEGN. Tyne, I think is pronounced, where he just took a whole bunch of deals. He wrote a story with it. He put the story out, put the pictures in there, and he made 3 volumes. And then he did a big collected volume. But mine, I'm less of a name than he is. So it's like, I'm going to make small volumes and release them for like $2 and $3 a pop. And that's it. And then if those take off, then that will tell us if we're going to do physical prints, if we're going to start a Kickstarter, all that stuff. So that's the goal. So we're going to do baby steps first. So like I said, 6-8 page thing that's part of a bigger art book that has writing and world building. But it's a, you know, it's going to be shot in the dark. I don't even know what it would be called. Probably a primer. But a primer for what? Another primer? Like, I don't, that type of thing. Like, what is this? You know? But yeah, like any sort of help with it would be great. Let me get that liquefy tool because I need to get her nose and actually bring her nose over a little. Not that much. Jesus. What the hell? Oh my God. Whoa. See, this is why the, it's not as good as Photoshop's. Surprise, surprise. There we go. Something like that. Sure. See, and it's like, I like this portrait. It's not of this girl, but it's of somebody. And that's usually how all my portraits go. It's like, oh yeah, that looks good. It's not the person, but hey, that's a cool person. So maybe I'll do even better with like making my own people. Okay, so that's number 1. We're going to come back into... that's how it started. Bonk. Okay. Then our number 2. So here's our duder right here. So this one's going to be the one that's a little more fun. We're going to do less exacting and more kind of getting the vibe, like this type of thing, right? Because, yeah, this would be a super rad style to kind of come to grips with. See, I'm thinking something like this, because this kind of has a lot of the same principles. It has that cast shadow. It has... So, yeah, it's more loosey-goosey, but I think it's actually more effective than the one we did earlier. 2 days for Sequoia. Right. That's true. Yeah, and his stuff reads super well. You know, but that's everybody. That's not just the writing. That's the editing team and the artists and all that stuff. So, yeah, it all works really well. But he's definitely a person I would... Like, basically my goal is, can I make something that's interesting enough that people are like, huh, that was not a waste of my time. So we are going to come over here. We're going to multiply layer. Darker. So let's... You know what we're actually going to do? Let me grab... Is this my set with Sergeant Sketcher? I think so. Yeah, okay. My charcoal stuff. Okay, so flat charcoal. We're going to sketch with this. It's going to be less exact. It's going to be less proportionate, but that's kind of by design. I would like to just keep this maybe here as the crop, because then you can do some fun stuff in the background, and then he's not... Well, let's actually study what this is. So he is kind of in the middle here. But yeah, okay, so something like this, right? Yeah, kind of slightly off angle. So maybe like this. That's true. God, if I could get on a publishing studio, that would be amazing. Because I know that's actually what a lot of the other artists. So yeah, here's some charcoal tomfoolery right here, right? Actually, that should be over here. That's a little too far down. All those angles. So if we do like this, because this is that's going to be the cast shadow line, right? If we do that trigonometry correctly. But then it's, yeah, it's actually going to kind of wrap around. Something like that. It's almost like Dick Tracy, right? So you have that, and then that came down here. That. Okay. So what do I want to do here? Maybe, like, how do I want to do this? It's a good question. I I do. Is she on the stream? I do. So she needs to be here. I did promise because I asked how to pronounce her name. And I was like, is it Sherry or is it Cherry? And she said either way, but you have to say it in a French accent. I said I will. And I will deeply offend my French audience, and I apologize. I am the dumbest like Midwestern United States Irishman you're ever gonna meet. So you can make all the barbecue and potato jokes that you ever could want. That's actually kind of what I was gonna do. So you have that. There we go. So now this is actually okay, but what do we do from here? Like, I like these angles and stuff. So I wonder if we'll just come in. Let's do the, oh, not lock. I need that one. Okay. So maybe I just need to do something like this. Oh God. Oh, because it's on eraser. That's why. I was like, why is this not working? Because I'm a dummy. That's why. There it is. We're going to come in here, do something like this. And this is from my 2020 brush pack, so it's an easy way to get a little bit of variance everywhere. Actually, let me come in here too. I'll just do the whole under canvas. Just kind of prime it this way. All right, we got that. Cool. What we can also do is lighten it up. Come around here. We have that. Make it real bright. Cool. So we have that. We can also do the watercolor blocker. Yeah, the graphite is like, these brushes are nuts, which is why I really dug them back in the day, because I was all about the chaos side of it. Like, okay, I'm just gonna make chaotic textures, I'm gonna make something out of it. Now I'm a little bit more controlled than that, but every once in a while it's nice to break them out, you know. And then maybe we can come in here, maybe do something like that. Okay. And like, do we want to let's see, we get some of these in. That looked pretty good. It's like, what do we want to do? It's definitely more of a stylized look, but that's sort of a cool thing, right? Like, bring in the Jamie Jones brushes here. Give us a little bit of form. So yeah, this is a much different way to do a portrait study. Way different. Actually, something like that. And on the, I know it's been a while since we talked about games, but on the gaming side of things, I actually reinstalled StarCraft. I played a little bit of Stormgate. I like it, but one, I'm not good at it, just like I'm not good at StarCraft, but StarCraft I'm more comfortable with. It. So, we're going to be bad at that, more comfortable. So here's what we're going to do here. Now we're going to paint on top. We're going to come up, we're going to do stuff like this. There is way more artistic freedom. This is where you can really kind of do your own thing and have a little bit more fun, in my opinion, just because it is a little bit more fun to do this. Because it's not necessarily about it being exactly right. It's about getting that attitude down and making shapes that people want to look at. And that's a thing that I'm very interested in lately, is making cool looking shapes that read well. I think there's a lot of power in it. It's just, it's really weird to me how many art directors prefer the first method. Because I like exercising like this. I like doing this sort of stylization and like heavy triangles. I mean, triangles are like my favorite shape, just because they usually always work, you know? But it kind of bums me out that like there's not, at least in what I'm doing, not a lot of art directors want this type of thing. You know? So maybe I just need to like change fields. I don't know. Like, find out the type of directors who are really into this stylized stuff. But maybe I just need to get better at it. Maybe I just need to really improve it. And then I'll start getting the phone calls or the emails, you know, and they'll be like, oh, we saw this and that looks dope. Can you make us a cover that looks like that? You know? Do that. Yeah. Bam. Pop it, baby. There we go. Oh, dang. 12-hour shift. Oof. Yeah, the rule of cool, man. It works. So, I think that might be... So, Greg, I think you hit something pretty good. I'm wondering if me embracing more of this, the stylized stuff, but doing this with fantasy painting might be the secret to getting some of the jobs I'm after. Do you know what I mean? Like, maybe this is the secret sauce. Maybe this is... You know, because I made a few, like, YouTube videos and stuff, like, oh, I think my art's missing something. I wonder if I was being too literal with, like, I'm going to paint a dragon, and it's going to look like a dragon. Look at it. You know what I mean? Like, we've all seen a dragon before. But, you know, have we necessarily seen this type of painting? Maybe not a lot, but maybe there's also a good reason why we haven't. You know. So we'll kind of smooth that out. Get that sharp. Get that sharp. We will get... Actually, I'm going to... There we go. We're going to keep a little bit of that graphite because I do like that graphite texture a little bit. So we're going to do that, right? And then we can come over here. This can be a dark, dark, right? Kind of coming out that way. But yeah, there is definitely more freedom doing something like this than there is. And actually, ooh, here's what we can do. This is a cool technique. I can't remember where I learned this from. But if you have repeating shapes, so like this part of the jacket is lighter, right? So we have those pinstripes kind of coming down and doing that, doing that, doing that. What you do is if we have a portion, which we do, that is actually darker, we can take this color and do that. Because it ties everything together, but it also makes it pop more. Like, it's just cooler to look at. All right, so that's fine. And with stuff like this, you can make those decisions about, like, is that too rendered? Is that not rendered enough? Where are the shapes? Like, you can do stuff like that, you know. Yeah, it's true. So that's a thing. That's one of the lessons that I really like to teach people if they do like a mentorship thing with me. You really got to define what you want. Like, I don't mind being an illustrator because an illustrator makes somebody else's pictures. They'll come to you because they see your work and your body of work, and maybe your style does fit what they like the look of, and they would like their project to emit a certain style. So they'll come to you, and that's great because then whatever you make is probably going to work. But there's other times to where you have to defy every artistic intuition that you have. They just need a warm body to make a thing to put in a thing. And that's fine too. Like those paychecks cash just as well. So that's the understanding of like making art for somebody else. You always hear, no, make the art for yourself first. Make yourself happy first. I kind of get it, but I mean, you got to be adaptable. You have to be Like, I literally think of myself as like a hired gun. Like, I'm a mercenary. I can blend in anywhere. I try to strive to do that. A very generalist mindset of like, oh, you want me to do a painting like John Singer Sargent? Okay, I can give it a go. It'll look pretty good. It won't be as good as John Singer Sargent, but like, I understand what makes his paintings work. Or, you know, I had a oil painting commission of something in the style of Monet. I don't do Monet stuff, but I know what it is. So like that very kind of impressionistic, you know, romanticized, very vivid colors, but make them work in harmony, like that type of stuff, you can do it. So it's really about, yeah, adapting to what looks good, but maybe the shape language of this would get me closer to getting a job for like a Magic the Gathering or a D&D, because the shape language of this does kind of match the shape language of some of my favorite, magic artists. I mean, these are all Tyler Jacobson, you know? And I mean, that dude has some shapes. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, look at that cape. Like, look at some of these, you know what I mean? Like, these silhouettes are super strong. So maybe it's, but then, yeah, you have a rendering like this, which is just pitch perfect. It's not photorealistic, or it's not, you know, but it doesn't have to be. And like the same thing here. See, like, it's just shapes. That's all this is. Just shapes. But it's smart. Very smartly put together. Even here. It's all shapes. How those shapes work together. So maybe this is actually closer to that type of thing than this is. You know? Like, sure, this silhouette's okay, but you can't really go wrong with a 3/4 a Sears photograph. You know what I mean? But I think the real challenge is trying to figure out not what the differences are between these two styles, but what is the thing that's the same. And I think whatever the thing that the same is, that needs to be the thing I need to lean into the most. Because it's the type of decision I would make regardless of the painting that I'm doing. Does that make sense? Like, whatever the common thread is. It's like, you know how you can't see yourself the way others see you? Like, whenever you see a picture of yourself, or like yourself in the mirror, you see, well, my eye's crooked, or this ear's bigger than the other, or my nostril, or whatever. But no one else ever notices it. And then you like call it out, and you're like, well, but my nose looks funny. And they're like, you're an idiot. Shut up. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't see yourself how other people see you. So the artist, that's the artist curse. The artist can never see their art the way the other viewers view their art. You can't do it. You cannot do it. So I think one of the struggles of doing this career is like, well, they saw something they liked. I wish they could tell me what it was. But since they don't communicate the same way I do, and not just saying they can't explain it correctly or whatever, it's just what they're saying that they're seeing. Even if I get the words, I'm not going to understand the part of the technique I did to get that. Does that make sense? Like, that's the constant ebb and flow. Brushstrokes using how the color defines the mood of the painting. Yeah. Yes, Jarrell does incredible stuff. Campbell White, who I know he's been through some medical stuff lately, and you know, God bless him, man. Because but Campbell White is one of those guys that like. Campbell went from having like 100 followers on all the social medias, and he's like, yeah, I've done some stuff for Magic, and here's a few of my cards, and everyone's like, and he went up to like 300,000 in a week. You know what I mean? Dude's a juggernaut, and he still is. Even during his recovery and stuff, he's kind of offline now. Probably rightfully so. Just take care of yourself, but unreal. And you see these people, and they're coming in and they're changing the game. So yeah, the rules are kind of out the window. Like good shapes, good color harmony. Your red cards are gonna have red in them. Your what is Golgari? Green and black. They're gonna have green and black in them. Like the nice thing about Magic cards is like if you get a blue card, guess what color you should probably use. Like, but I mean, that's by design. If it's a blue card, you make blue art. Good job. It fits. It works. So, yeah, and then we can do the fun thing. We can come in here. We can gradient map this out. Come over here. Boom. And hit up something like these here. You know, that nice blue there. Get something, and I've actually seen a whole lot of like, oh, that one's pretty cool. I've seen a whole lot of like variant comic artists, like comic book covers like this, way more loose and painterly and like expressionist sort of stuff. That seems to be kind of I don't know if it's a trend necessarily, but like it's definitely doing something. Then if we have that, we can come over here, we can overlay, and then we can have our colors hit pretty good. Bring that back over. So I don't necessarily care about the exact colors, but we can make it work. So if we get the overlay, we get something like this. If I come over here, get that Jamie's brush. Let's see, what's great is we can come in. And since it's on overlay, depending on the pressure that we put on it, and then on the value of the actual brush, we can come in and it can make some really cool looking effects without really changing the values too much. It changes them a little, but just enough to give a little variety. Normally I would do the color overlay, right? But this is a great way to get more natural looking like painted color in, is use overlay instead of color. And then here we can do like a gray type thing here. Actually, we can darken it a little and see. It's going to bring in a little bit of the color. And then like that, we have that yellow. So we can, oh, come on, there it is. So we can like hit this a little. We can hit that red like crazy, 50%. Watch this. It's gonna blow it out, man. Boom. 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 Then you brighten it. Boom. Oh, yeah. So, see, it kind of ties it in together. And we can even make this band that red color. If we come over here, maybe desaturate it a little. Then if I do bring up that right here, see what I mean? It makes it seem a little more like I knew what I was doing. So we got that. Then we can actually, oh, right there. We can actually use that as kind of the underpainting. Come up over here, then and come in with the more kind of painterly brushes and fit it in. But see how that looks a little more oil painting-y now? Like, and then let's say we did want to get a nice hit of that nice bright red. It's going to be kind of blinding, but oh, that actually, that works pretty well because we can bring that up. I'm going to pick that. We're going to slightly warm that up. We're going to maybe desaturate it a little. Warm it up a little more. Try to get that lip. There you go. And see if we can come in and really start kind of painting the edges. Refining them a little bit. But you also don't want to get rid of too much of the energy, right? Let's actually bring that down. There we go. Yeah. We'll keep some a little more saturation kind of right where that transition happens. It's a little too much, but we'll lower it down here in a second. Really right before the transitions happen is where you're going to get the most like pop of saturation. But now let's see, it's changing the skin tone though. Yeah, actually liked it better because it was more affected by, what was that, where it's gonna go? Okay, let's do that one. So that's actually, yeah, there we go. Did want to kind of adjust that a little bit because the skin tone's great. I do want to save it, like, but now my version's starting to look like Nick Cave more so than, you know, maybe it was changing the changing the skin tone a little too much. Yeah, so like, actually, let me bring, I think I know what it is. Let me bring out this a little more. So like we said before, you don't want to be so married to the deal that you can't make decisions, but actually, let me... I think I know what it is. Let me grab that one. think it is this. I do want to get... that. Yes. Little hit right there. So I need to fill out that bottom with that's what it was. That line was causing me a little bit of a weird let me come back over here. Okay. So yeah, once again, shapes are decent. They're okay. Kind of trying to bring his vibe back into this. There we go. And then maybe something like that, so it stays within the frame. More so than cuts out of it. See, and this comes in between, like, do I want to render this? Like, is it rendered or is it losing out? Here, let me sharpen that shape. There you go. Or is it losing out because it's now getting too designed? Do you know what I mean? Like, there's that happy balance of... You know, it takes 2 people to paint a masterpiece. 1 person to paint it and the other one to knock them unconscious when it's done. So let's go back and do that. Let's add more of these shapes again. Bring a little bit of that energy back before we start that. Okay, yeah. Give him his chops again. There we go. It's a defining feature. Okay. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to come up here. I'm going to color. There we go. It's a little too much, actually. Let me temper it. Because see, whenever you do that, it sort of washes it out the same. There we go. Lower that down a little. It's a cry for help. See, we have something like that. So if we want to come in and really just sharpen up a few of these, what's fun is you can also use graphite with color. And it makes some really neat edges. In fact, it makes them kind of painterly, even though it's not a paintbrush necessarily. You know what I mean? Like, you get that nice grit and grime. Which, in fact, this is probably more of the style I'm going to be using for the graphic novel art book stuff. Just because it's way faster. and I can like get the information down and then sort of like move on. So I can do that. Okay. So something like that. Let me actually bring the shadow down. There we go. Give this a little more form. Cool. Then we can actually bring this up. Give it a little bit more. We'll just use the colors that the gradient map gave us, which is always a nice trick. If you ever wonder about what you can use as a color, always color pick from the painting if you already have a lot of colors on there, or if you have a certain mood that you have, because, you know, the colors you have are always going to work because they're already on there. All right, so something like this, right? Maybe there. There we go. Ignian, what's up, man? So you caught me at the perfect time. I'm gonna be heading out in about 10 minutes because I got the kiddos tomorrow. Old daddy daycare. I mean, I have them every day, but you know, mama's at work now, so. And maybe, yeah, maybe actually just using the textured brush is the thing. You know, maybe that's the real fun. Something like that. And it's a fun way to make sure all of the colors what we could do if I get the soft round. I may not like this, so I'm going to make a new layer. And if like I don't know. I don't know if I like that or not. Because I kind of like the slapdash, just throwing strokes down look. But that also drives the focal point to be the silhouette. Do you know what I mean? Because now you're softening, you're giving the eye a place to rest across this whole circle. So you want to look at the middle of the circle. So I don't know. See, that's the thing. You never know. You never know what's the one. And then, like every other deal like this, I could put both of them like in a poll on social media and give it like a week-long voting, and then it'll come back, and almost guaranteed it will be a 50-50 split. Ooh, some rim light. That's true. That's true, because we could rock that Ahmed Aldori look right there. Ooh, and I'll show you. I'm going to try this trick, because I think there's something to it. We should have it maybe be a the nice thing about doing it this way is we can change it whenever. So maybe this rim light right here. Okay. Now check this out, guys. We gradient mapped a blank layer, okay? In theory, this should work. I'm going to grab, because I mean, this is almost verbatim how Ahmed got this rim light right here. So I'm going to grab like the diagonal texture brush. I'm going to come almost to white, right? And then we can do this. Actually, let me erase that a little bit. I might need to change the actual setting, but what this is, see, the darker I get, see if we wanted this to be like from the bottom, we do that. I mean, that's way too much right there, but you know what I mean. You can erase. So we can erase, and it's all going to still work within temper it a little bit. It'll all work within relation. So anything like the old saying is anything facing down gets it. You know, anything facing the light gets the light, right? That's just how light works. So if we just know it's going to be coming from the bottom, and what's cool about it is, let's say we don't like those colors very much, like they're not quite working the way we thought they would. What you can do is now you just go to your gradient map and change it. And it changes. There's a more like in-depth advanced way to do this where you like stack certain things and then you screen the layer and then you do all this other stuff. But yeah, like it's a super easy way to do rim light. So like, so let's say we have that one. Yeah. And then you can come in 100% white right here. And let's say, oh, we want this to be crazy shaped, like boom, that rim light. And then this catches that rim light. And then like boom, or whatever, you know. And I mean, of course this is going to look terrible, but you'll see what I mean. And then you can come in, yeah. And if you well, actually, you can't do the masking trick. What you really need to do is just change the value, because since you're following the gradient map, you don't want to erase. You just want to darken the value, because whatever color you have is mapped, you know. So we'll delete the layer mask. So you can just do this and be like, oh, we just need to blend this a little more. So I'm going to get the soft round. I've got a 50% gray. And you see what I mean? Now there's that. So it's a weird way to work. But then if we want it to be real blue, we can hit there. And then that's real blue. But then we'll bring it up to white and we'll kind of blend that in. So it's always going to work. It's just you have to temper kind of the, you know what I mean? Like, and you know, of course that's way bad because it doesn't follow the form or anything. But you can do that, and then you can really temper that down. Or you can change it to be an overlay layer. Or you can change it to be soft light. Then that way, we do have that, and it gives you a lot of fun things you can do. So yeah, there's some great ways to do that. But that, if you've ever wondered how a painter, I mean, they could have just painted it, of course, but if you ever wondered how you get a rim light like that, where there's a slight glow to it and like all this other stuff, you could just put in the lines and then come in with a glow, like an airbrush, and do like a color dodge and do that totally. Or you can just skip a step and do the gradient map. And then the gradient map will have those little nuances of color. Then you can come in and kind of adjust it the way you want to. But yeah, that's totally, especially with Ahmed's stuff. Like you see that purple line, you see the purple, and you see how it gets a little brighter, then it comes back down. I can almost guarantee that's how he does it. That is exactly how Aaron Griffin does all his, like verbatim, because he has a tutorial about it. But yeah, it's a great way to go. So you can basically, I was saying, you can come in, add the white, maybe add a color dodge afterwards with an airbrush with whatever color you want, and do that. That works well. But really that gradient map trick works super well. You just have to make sure that you kind of remember what value is what color, you know? So it's a little different. And plus another trick, one day we might just do a whole big tutorial about rim light, because rim light can be really powerful, but it can also make your stuff look super flat, because it now cuts it away from background. And maybe that's what you want, but it's not necessarily separating it. It's almost like you cut out construction paper and put it on, because a lot of people they forget about form when they do rim light. They do a rim light, they do like a 1 pixel, 2 pixel, you know, across the deal, but they forget that the light is curving around the surface, or I guess light doesn't curve, but like the illumination itself follows the curve. Because you can see that here, you know, Ahmed didn't just do this line, this line, this line, these lines, this line. He brought in that color and started following some of the forms to make it work. You know what I mean? But yeah, so we have essentially oh, I fully deleted that other one, didn't I? Oh, actually, it's still here. So yeah, we have two different styles of doing a reference study. So we have kind of the more academic style that we did here. You know, doesn't quite look like the girl, but good enough for government work, right? So there's a lot of like nuances and rendering and like going in and soft brushes, and really the main thing is if you're drawing out a face with a line, it's always going to look wrong, always. The more you move away from lines and worry about values, it's going to look better. It just always will. So you can go that route, or you can go the ultra stylized, you know, just look at the shapes and see what story they're telling and then accentuate them. Like really go whole hog with them. You can see like I changed the angle of there, but I also kept some of the lighting because we also had the cast light right here, or the cast shadow, I should say. The angle of the hat is a little more swoopy to kind of follow with the angle of the feather and all that stuff too. It's more slapdash as far as where lines are. It has more energy in the background. You know, I could go in, I should probably fix that ear, but overall, I mean, you get what it is. You know what I mean? Like there's more of a consistency. There's more of, you know, something, in my opinion, something fun to look at, which is the whole idea of making a picture. You want it to be cool to look at, right? So that's it. Little bit of that, but like I said, let me post the link one more time to, there it is, to SketchDaily. SketchDaily is an awesome thing you can do. It's an awesome site you can go to, and they have some great deals, and it's great because you can set the timers. You can do a whole lot of stuff. You can set a timer. You can say, hey, do you want them with clothes on? No clothes. Do you want it not suitable for work? You know, if you're trying like, and like I said, it's not crude stuff, but it is like nude model. But really it's taken from a lot of different places. There's some action poses or some stationary poses, but you have, I mean, this is a whole library of about 2,000 images that you can cycle through. You can set the timers. So depending on what kind of exercise you're wanting to do, it's great, super great to do. Highly recommend it. It's going to loosen you up, at least get your mind thinking, get you in the right frame of mind. So that's a great place to start. And yeah, let me come over here. Let me move this right here. But that is my time. I gotta get to sleep so I can wake up in like 5 hours. Yeah, whole lot of fun. Thanks so much for hanging out, guys. So much fun. Like I said, it's crazy. Just how many YouTube people there are. It's so cool to see. Now there's like a moth or something flying around. Anyways, but yeah, that's my time. We're gonna be back on Saturday. We could do a number of things. Like I said, we've been wanting to learn how to play Street Fighter better. We can play more Street Fighter. Of course, we can do more art. We can always do art. Just depends on, I don't know really what to do necessarily. Maybe we can do material studies or something like that. You know, maybe we can do more portraiture. Maybe we can start setting up the comic. Maybe we can start doing that. I can show a little behind the curtain. We can start doing some of that. I don't know. We can do a master study or start a master study, like kind of look at little, like a crop of a master study and kind of talk about it. But like I said, I got Street Fighter. We got a whole bunch of games, but I also reinstalled StarCraft. I was ranked last season. I was ranked silver with Protoss and Zerg. I was ranked gold 2 as Terran. But my Terran, I was at like a 72% win rate. So I would have been platinum pretty easy. I've never been platinum in my life in StarCraft. Maybe we can try that. You can see me really stress out. I don't know. It'll probably actually be less stressful talking through it on the stream and like playing it at the same time. But that's a very stressful video game. And then my goal would be to get to Diamond with all 3 races. That way, no matter what race I would play in StarCraft, be Diamond, which is the top 20% in the world. StarCraft 2. I'm not good at Brood War. I played Brood War, played in air quotes, not great. But yeah, so got my Terran stuff down. The macro's okay. Really, I get flustered around the 10-minute mark. But I also found out I'm really good before the 10-minute mark, so I should just attack before 10 minutes. That's a big brain move for you kids out there. That's the real secret to success. Find the thing you're bad at and then don't do it. Don't do that thing. Do the thing that you're better at. It's fun, man. I can teach you. Like, I'm not great, but you can get wins on the ladder with the stuff I can teach you. Really, it's all 2-base stuff. It's 2-base. You can expand more. A lot of people like to expand more, but I like 2-base aggression. I like to control the flow of the match. If I really want to control the flow of the match, I never do a rush. I never do cheeses, but I definitely do all-ins, which means if it doesn't work, I lose. So there's that type of stuff. So, oh, I bet you could, man. See, Warcraft 3 would be a fun one to learn. I watch Grubby. I've seen him play a lot of it, of course. He's one of the best in the world. So, but like, it's such a cool idea because the time to kill for the units is higher. Like, it takes longer for units to die, and you don't need as many units. In StarCraft 2, you can work for 8 minutes, macro, get your bases up and stuff. And if you're not looking at the correct part of the screen, and this is not an exaggeration, you can lose your entire army in about 7 seconds. And not just one way, but like 9 ways. So that's why it's so hardcore, is like, not only do you have to be on the level doing your macro, you have to be like a Twitch shooter like Quake or Unreal reflexes. Because if you see a blip on your minimap and it hits at just the right angle, you're dead. Doesn't matter what you did, how many units you have, nothing. You're dead. Done. It's like basically you're messing with a bomb, you know. The material study. Material studies are fun. They are fun. They feel very rewarding when you nail them, when you get them going. It's really cool because it's believable. Like, you see it and you're like, wow, that looks like moss. Wow, that looks like concrete. Wow, that look like, whenever everything comes together, the color separation, the values, the texture, and then you can kind of control each of them. It's really cool, especially metal. Once you nail metal for the first time, you feel invincible. And then you start getting crazy because you do the metal and then you put cuts in the middle, and then you can do a lot of cool stuff. Rebel brush pack. I don't know, maybe I need to just sit down with it and get it done. Make like 20 brushes. They would all be probably oil paint, I bet. Just get it done. And then just release it out for like $3 or $4. So we could do something like that. But probably next year. Probably when I bring out the 2025 pack for Photoshop and Clip. Maybe I can do a Rebel brush pack. And hey, I'll be able to put featured Rebel artist or whatever on there. So that'll be a boon as well. I can maybe have them help me advertise it. That'd be cool. But yeah, any of those brush packs and stuff are going to have tutorial videos kind of walking through every single brush and the settings and the ways I would use them. But, you know, just kind of how all the brush packs are. I was thinking about doing another one maybe next year as well. Another free May Sketch a Day brush pack. The last one I did was 2020. So it's been 4 years since I did a free brush pack. I need to do another one. Kind of give it out to the community as a... I come bearing gifts, you know. But that is my time. I got to get out of here for sure. It's almost 2 a.m. I have to be up at 7. So if I fall asleep right now, I get like 5 hours of sleep. But anyway, that's my time. You guys are awesome, of course. Guys are always awesome. And yeah, I will hit you up for sure, Rick, about some of the comic stuff. I just have like minutia questions because it's like, okay, I need the art to be good. I know that. I need the storytelling to kind of flow to make sense as like a short story. I understand that. Like, but it's also like, okay, with lettering, how small is too small for the letter? You know, I want it to be legible, but if the page size is this and the art is this, do I need to... Yeah, it's that stuff. Like, that's a whole different art form, and I have no idea about it. So I can read all the how to draw comics the Marvel way, you know, back and front, upside down and sideways. But till I'm in there and figuring it out, I don't know. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. Yeah, new YouTube videos up, by the way. So if you want to see me do actual pencil sketching on a blurry webcam, I do that. And then I use markers, which is crazy. I haven't used those markers. I think I used them one time before I made that video. But I went in, just did the thing. So can't erase those. Once it's on there, it's on there. It's good to build confidence. So go check that out. Got some other cool stuff planned for the next few YouTube videos. That should be a lot of fun. And that is it. I will see you on Saturday. We'll figure out something to do. Probably a material study. We'll do the gaming thing sometime. I just don't know. But we'll see. But that's it. See you guys. Bye. Bye.